I'm David Hayward, but most people don't know who David Hayward is. They might know who the Naked Pastor is,
Hmm.
and that that's what I do full time. I used to be in the ministry. I was ordained. I've been in the church my whole life, basically, and served the church as a pastor in different denominations for about 30 years. In 2010, I left the ministry and decided to put my all my efforts. This is a long story short, but I'm
Hmm.
decided to put all my efforts into a blog that I started in 2005 called The Naked Pastor. And so it worked. That's what I do full time. I post several times a day. I draw cartoons every day. I paint. I write books. I have YouTube and other videos, TikTok, everywhere.
Yeah.
And my passion really is to encourage people to um, be their authentic selves. And I like to provide safe spaces for people to do that. And so that's basically what I'm about and what my content's about.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's how I discovered you on Instagram, Naked
Oh, yeah.
Pastor.
Yeah.
And then whenever I tell my wife, she's like, Naked Pastor. That's such an odd name. So can you give some context of where that came from, that
Well,
idea?
it's funny. I actually just searched Naked Pastor. This is way back in 2004 or five.
Hmm.
And because at that time there was like the Naked Chef, Naked Archaeologist, Naked
Mm.
Truth, and
Yeah.
I thought Naked Pastor, that'd be kind of cool because I was a pastor, I was blogging. There were a lot of blogging pastors at the time, and I wanted mine to be unique in that I wanted them to see behind the veil of what really goes on in the ministry and in the church. And I was just going to be honest, open, transparent, vulnerable,
Mm.
raw, real, naked, you know.
Yeah.
And so basically that's what it means, just naked pastor. As you can see, I'm fully dressed.
Yeah.
But what the blog was about and what I'm about is just being totally honest about my thoughts about the church and spirituality and Christianity and
Mm.
all those things. So that's what gets me in trouble, but it's also what um, finds me people who resonate with
Yeah.
what I do. They find
Yeah.
encouragement and validation and support
Mm.
through what I do, where others are offended. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. And speaking of that, of being offended, a lot of your content, at least the ones that the algorithm shows me, is being open to specific communities of LGBTQ, trans, and that community that is so far oppressed and overlooked by a lot of traditional Christians. And
Hmm.
you're just willing, and you open the gate, which I love. I am still trying to wrap my head around where is that fence? Is there a fence? Is there a line that maybe am I loving too much? And then my faith is evolving in terms of saying, well, I believe this community is loved by God. I believe this community is loved by Jesus still, and I don't. And I'm trying to still evolve my faith around being accepting and of that nature. And I get comments from people, and they're like, "Well, you're not like you can only love them to a certain extent, right?" And then I'm like, "No, that's not right. I believe that the greatest commandment, as Jesus says, is to love your God and then love your neighbor as yourself. And so, if I'm only going to love someone to quote like save them from hell or eternal damnation and etc., then that's not truly loving. And so I want to learn more from you and your perspective of being open to communities that are otherwise deemed sinners in the eyes of like God.
The one of the um, most profound things that Jesus purportedly said was that justice is like the rain and like the sun.
Mm.
Mercy, grace, love is I feel is the same thing. It's like the rain and like the sun. It's indiscriminate. The rain falls on everyone. The sun shines on everyone. They may not have known about gravity back then, but gravity pulls everything in. It's indiscriminate. It's a
Mm.
force. It's an energy. It just is. That's why I always say love is. Love just is. And what religion has done, though, is that it has divided us into groups and categories. And they're on a gray scale so that totally on the white you're in and on the other dark end you're out.
Mm.
And that just to me is a profound misunderstanding of what love is. Love is indiscriminate. Now you can get down into, oh yeah, but there's eros love and there's agape love and there's,
Yeah.
you can go on and on and on. But to me, sure, I love my wife Lisa in a different way than I love every other person in the world.
Yeah.
I love my children differently than I love every other person in the world. I love my dog differently. I love cake differently. But
Hmm.
love is love. Love loves all things. And unless that's our starting point, then we're going to get in trouble. So when somebody says, well, you know, um, love is love, love is indiscriminate, it loves everyone. Well, what about Hitler? Is one of
Right.
the first things you get, right?
Yeah.
Or what about trans people?
Mm.
So on and so forth. And to me, it's indiscriminate. Love is love. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't challenge injustice or where somebody's being harmed
Mm.
or, where untruth is being spoken or, where there's abuse. We speak up about those things. But when we start categorizing people according to some divine law that you can do this and you can't do that, you can eat shrimp. You can't eat shrimp, but you can eat
Mm.
chicken. You can
Yeah.
you can't eat pork, but you can eat beef. When it gets to that, why? It's like just because I said so, and that's what religion is. Just because I said so, and so when you have people that say I love uh, cisgendered straight white men the most, and then it goes on a scale down to a trans woman
Hmm.
who are the least lovable, or maybe a Nazi,
Yeah.
or maybe a pedophile. And so what we what we've run into then is that we're no longer talking about love. We're talking about the execution of laws that have been
Mm.
made in our mind, a narrative that's been made up in our mind that we feel that we need to enforce and that we need to uh, use as a template to make the world conform to. And that's where we get into trouble. And that's why we see so much discrimination
Yeah.
and rejection and you know leading people to take their own lives or in some places executing homosexuals, trans people.
Yeah.
um, and it's because that's a vast misunderstanding of what love is and what justice is. And so yeah, I talk about that a lot
Mm.
because it
Yeah.
seems to me that that's where the church and a lot of society is drawing the line. They're drawing a line in the sand and saying, you can come this far and no further. And to me, that's a gross misinterpretation of what love is and a gross application of what love is.
Yeah.
Because in the end, what's going to happen is all you're going to end up with is straight white men
Mm.
and in the center and everyone else on the outside getting further and further and further away from the center until they're in the darkness. And actually, I said, what we're going to end up with, actually, that's how it is in many people's lives, where
Yeah.
straight white men are at the center, determining who's in and who's out. And
Mm.
that to me it's just discrimination based on arbitrary ideas. Like, for example, an arbitrary idea is that white people are superior to black people. It's just an
Mm.
arbitrary idea. It's a
Yeah.
narrative. It's not true. It's a narrative. But when people buy into a narrative and a thought becomes a belief, then they're willing to die for that and kill for it as well. And so that's what we're facing right now with the discrimination against people of color, of First Nations people,
Mm.
LGBTQ people, trans people.
Yep.
um, women, and so forth. It's instead of love, they've chosen preference based on
Mm.
a narrative, a false narrative.
Right.
So that's my sermon for the day.
Yeah. Yeah. I I guess what I'm trying to say for me, it's like I'm trying to rewire my brain from that false narrative because it's been so ingrained in me from as a child of you're in if you believe this and you're out if you don't, right? And
And
so,
it is a rewiring. Like it
yeah.
is hardwired. I totally understand your language.
Mm,
And that's what many people confront when they begin deconstructing their beliefs. People are like, well, why are you making it such a big deal? Like, you just, you don't, 1 year you believe in Santa and the next year you didn't, no big deal. It's
right.
not
Yeah.
still not in agony over that. You stop believing in fairies, you stop believing in monsters hiding under your bed. Like, what's the big deal? Well, they don't understand how deep the roots go into our DNA
Mm,
of belief,
yeah.
where it's really been when it's pounded into you day in and day and night, and it affects every aspect of your life. Uh, it's not as easy as saying, "Oh, I don't believe that anymore."
Mm,
It's because it has affected every area of your life. It's colored every area of your life, and it's not as easy as just saying, "Oh, I don't believe that," uh, because you have to readjust, climatize, reclimatize, pressurize, whatever,
yeah.
uh, every aspect that belief touched. So, and a good example of that would be purity culture,
Mm,
where a lot of people I know, I'm dealing a lot with purity culture. It's one of the things I talk about, that people who've been married for years still struggle with their sex lives and their body image because of purity culture. Now they say, I don't believe in purity culture anymore, but it's so pounded into them that they feel like they're used, that they lack value, they're ashamed of their bodies, they're embarrassed about sex, they don't feel like they can just enjoy it, have pleasure with no purpose, like childbearing.
mm,
There's so many factors that they can say no to their husbands if they're not in the mood, so on and so there's so many areas that purity culture has affected. It's not like, oh, I just don't believe in it anymore, and they're sexually liberated and body positive. It's just
yeah.
not that easy.
Mm,
So that it's just so much work when these beliefs have been, like you say, hardwired. It does
yeah.
take it does take rewiring our brain, and actually a lot of brain scientists do say you actually have to recircuit
Mm,
your
yeah.
brain, like literally, physically, organically
Mm,
recircuit your brain. And so that's the challenge many of us who are deconstructing are up against.
yeah.
Yep.
Definitely. And that's what I learned in therapy, even with trauma I've experienced, is I have to reteach my brain to say, when I feel a specific emotion, that now as an adult, I'm safe, I'm loved, I'm not alone, I'm not abandoned. But now within this new mindset, I have this new action I can take. I
Mhm.
can engage with the people around me. I don't need to hide. I don't need to be deceitful. I don't need to steal from them for power. But because I'm no longer being attacked by my own abuser, I'm just feeling a certain way, and I need to go into my brain and say, where is that feeling coming from? And then rewire it and say, that's not true. That's not where I'm at. And so it's
Mhm.
like you're saying, like, I'm no longer in that purity culture mindset. I'm no longer in that toxic church environment. I am now free, and I'm free to think differently, and I'm free to treat this group that I used to oppress differently, and I can love them. I can engage with them. I don't no longer have to feel icky around them or feel like I'm doing something bad. Like,
Right.
oh no, I'm like siding with the quote like enemy. But I can choose to love,
Yeah.
and it is that process because sometimes you'll slip. You don't even mean to. You know, you just walk by another person at like Walmart and you just feel a different way. You're like, oh no, I need to go down a different aisle because I feel uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, you're like, wait, I can love that person. I can go down that aisle and nothing's gonna happen. I'll be fine.
Hmm. Yeah. The absence of love is fear, but the absence of
Mm.
fear is love as well. So a lot of us, it's not like we have to, do affirmations every day. I will love a
Yeah.
trans person. I will love a trans person. I will love a
Hmm.
trans person.
Yeah.
Actually, when you deal with your fear, love takes a space. When darkness is eliminated, it's actually light taking over. And so love is a strange thing. It just is. And once we relax and rest into that, settle into that, it's no longer something that we need to try to do. Love just is. It's like the air we breathe. It's like the rain that falls on all of us. It's like the sunshine that sun shines on all of us. It's like gravity that pulls us all, keeps us on the earth. Love is like that. And it's not preferences. It's not a feeling. It's not, lightheadedness. It's not
Mm.
butterflies in our stomach. It's just the absence of fear. And um, and it manifests itself in such things as equality and diplomacy and kindness and equality
Mm.
and uh, inclusion. I don't even like using the word inclusion because
Yeah.
it assumes I'm in the center and I'm letting somebody else in. It's just that there is no wall, there is no barrier, there is no division. And I mean, even in I think it's Ephesians where doesn't it say there is therefore now no dividing wall between us? And yet that
Mm.
seems to be one of the things we're constantly trying to do is establish what side of the wall we're on. But there is no wall. There's nothing dividing us. It's imaginary. It's a narrative. It's not true. There's
Yeah.
therefore now no dividing wall between us. Now, I don't often quote scripture anymore,
Mm.
but that to me is a powerful truth.
Mm.
And I work from that assumption that we are not divided, that we are united. And all these manifestations of hatred and division and separation and um, and discrimination that we see are aberrations and are false narratives that people are trying to establish or maintain. And so I, I work hard from that presumption that we are not divided. There's no wall, and we need to figure out how to make that manifest in the world. But that needs
Yeah.
to be our starting point. That needs to be our presumption, you know. And that's one of my most popular cartoons, actually, Eraser. It shows a bunch of people drawing lines with big fat pencils, and then
Mm.
Jesus is in the middle with his pencil upside down with the eraser down, and he's erasing all the lines.
Yeah.
And that to me is one of my most popular cartoons because I think it resonates with people who really do think, yeah, we're the ones drawing the lines,
Mm.
there is no line
Yeah.
between us. And I really do believe that. It's not a fairy tale. And that has to be our assumption and default position if there's going to be peace in the world.
Mm. Yeah. That's really good. And I kind of switched topics a little bit.
Yeah.
I also come across in my time of pastors still in the church and they see deconstruction as a problem to be solved. And so I'm curious what
Hmm.
kind of even along the same lines of erasing these lines between beliefs and things of that nature. Where where do you see deconstruction as an opportunity for people?
Um, it's very interesting you asked that question today. Just one
Hmm.
second. I want to pick something up here. Um,
Okay.
uh, Cricket, lie down. Lie down. Good boy. Very good question, Nick. Very good question.
Mm.
So I picked up a book, The Deconstruction of Christianity, What It Is, Why It's Destructive, and How to Respond. It's written by Elisa Childers and Tim Barnett. And the reason why I bought that book ordered that book was because I'm mentioned several times in it,
Mm.
and not in a positive light.
Oh.
And I've seen some videos out there. They were interviewed because of this book was coming out. It's brand new off the press, and they mentioned me and several times, and they say I'm a thought leader in the deconstruction movement,
Mm.
and they actually do say it. The opening line of the book, the very first sentence in the book, it's the foreword, and the foreword's written by Carl Trueman. But the very first line in the book, in the foreword, is apostasy is nothing new. So we know where this is going,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? So, and right away, right out of the gate, apostasy is nothing new. It's a problem. It's
Mm.
problem's been around forever, and we're going to show you how to prevent it from happening, and if it does happening, what to do about it, and how to
Yeah.
avoid it. So, yeah, um, and you say how to view it as an opportunity. Look, deconstruction. I started using that word. I was reading Jacques Derrida, the French philosopher, and all that. I was reading other
Hmm.
deconstructionists, and it had nothing to do with religion. It had to do with a text. It has to do with truth, and
Mm.
that there's no such thing as you know a text conveying truth, because not only do we not really know the intention of the author, and then we have the transmission from the author to the page, and then we have uh, how many interpretations a text can have, and because we all come to it with our own biases and prejudices and worldviews and paradigms, right? So to say the Bible says it's an impossible statement, because we don't know what the Bible says. There
Mm.
are a million interpretations to what the Bible says. And that's because we're not sure what the author meant. We're not even sure sometimes who the author was. We're not sure exactly what they're saying. It's an ancient language too. And we all come to it with our own hermeneutic.
Mm.
And we,
Yeah.
we can't say, well, the Bible definitely says, because there are as many interpretations as there are people interpreting it. And so when I was reading the deconstruction, I got struck by the word, saying, man, that's, and the way they were talking about it, how everything needs to be questioned, even the text itself, because that's where my deconstruction started, actually, in questioning the inspiration of the Bible.
Mm.
And so I co-opted the word. And in 2008, I started using the word deconstruction to talk about my own faith journey. This is a long time ago, man. This is 2008.
Yeah.
And I started writing about it on my blog, Naked Pastor. People
Hmm.
were accusing me of being a deconstructionist. And it became such a thing that in 2012, I actually launched an online community called the Lasting Supper for people who are deconstructing. I actually use those words. And, you know, I was flying under the radar back then, but now deconstruction is a thing. It's
Yeah.
everywhere. Everybody's using the word deconstruction.
Mm.
I'm not claiming I'm the one who started it, but I think I might have been.
Yeah.
And but the reason I started it and the reason I'm using the word is because it explains something that happens in our spiritual journeys and ought to happen. And that is that we just question our beliefs. That to me, that's all deconstruction is that we question the belief. We question the belief that we've inherited, that we've adopted, that's presumed, that's taught, that's passed down, that's transmitted. We question it, no matter what it is. And that's just deconstruction. Where that takes you, that's up to you. How you get from your point A to your point B, that's totally your journey, none of my business. But I'm here to walk alongside you if you want. And so
Mm.
that to me was what deconstruction is. You just question the text. You question the belief. And so for me, I was just using a word to describe something that's always happened all down through history. Everybody questions their belief.
Yeah.
And some people question it mildly and in a way that doesn't disrupt their church membership or their belief, basically, or their orthodoxy, or their you know relationship with faith and Christianity and the church. And other people go all the way where they question everything to the point where it affects everything. It affects their faith, their belief, their theism, their relationship to the church, religion altogether, etc. Right? So you have
Yeah.
everybody from here that it's a slight disruption, but not a major disruption, all the way to a major disruption.
Mm.
And so to me, that's all deconstruction. It all is. In the old days, it used to be that if you question your belief, you had to keep it to yourself, unless it was, was it really a whale or was it a great fish that swallowed Jonah? Or
Right.
was
Yeah.
the earth really created in 6 days? Or are they symbolic for a day and is like 1,000 years to the Lord? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those kinds of questions. But the questions are, why should I obey the church? Why should I believe scriptures from God?
Mm.
Is there a God? Was Jesus a historical figure? These kinds of questions. I don't know if I believe in the Trinity. Um, those kinds of questions you had to keep yourself because uh, if you aired them, then you were in danger of being marginalized or actually exiled, excommunicated from the church, and even sometimes executed for heresy. And so, uh, but nowadays, and especially because of COVID, people are realizing, you know what, I don't need the church like I thought I did, and like they said I did. I don't need the
Yeah.
church, and and they're like, yeah, I'm not sure I believe in, and they're questioning everything. And it used to be it would cost you a lot. It would cost you your membership in the church. Whereas now it's like they don't care. People don't care.
Yeah.
And so it's gotten out of hand, according to the church. It's out of
Mm.
control. And it's a huge age of apostasy from the church. And I'm seeing why. There's all kinds of reasons why, but the church can't scare us anymore. It's lost its power to frighten people into staying and returning.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
So for me, to get back to your question,
Yeah.
deconstruction is just spiritual growth. This is what it
Mm.
looks like. Deconstruction, if we compare it to us growing up, we're infants, then we're children, then we're adolescents, then we're teens, then we're young adults, then we're adults. And when I have 3 kids who are all adults now, but when they went through their adolescence and teen years, there were a lot of challenges because they were challenging my authority. They were challenging the law. They were challenging their teachers. They were questioning everything. It was a very messy time. And
Mm.
rather than kick them out of the house or tell them to obey, shut up and obey, we gave them space to explore and to find themselves and to figure this out for themselves. And now they're all 3 of them responsible adults. But it was a messy time. But the church can't handle that messy time. When people get to that adolescent teen stage where they start questioning everything, why should I believe that? Why should I obey you? Why should I just show up every day? Like why should I attend? You know, these kinds of questions the church can't handle.
Mm.
And if it did, I don't think it would be seeing the exodus that it's seeing right now.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. And you brought up brought something up without even, I don't think, intentionality to bring it up, but within that book that you just pulled out, and
mm,
you mentioned that you're in the book, quoted probably several times, brought up multiple times.
right.
I would imagine that you didn't know that, right? They didn't come out and ask you for your opinion. Well, they didn't sit down for an interview. They just quoted you however they saw fit to put into their narrative, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
okay though. We all do that, right?
Mm.
I've written 10 books. I've quoted a lot of people. I didn't talk to them first,
Mm.
but it's just very very interesting. In the YouTube interview, I saw them speaking, and Tim Barnett at one point said, David Hayward, who is one of the thought leaders in the deconstruction movement, and it's not a movement, by the way, it's just a bunch of people. There's
Yeah.
no organization to it.
Yep.
Uh, he said there's three things Hayward claims is that deconstruction is, let me see if I get this right.
Mm.
Deconstruction is never ending, that there's no goal. Uh, it's never ending, there's no goal. And there was a third one. Anyway, the, my point is, he thinks those are bad things. And I don't think they are bad things. I think they're healthy things. Because for me, deconstruction is now a way of life where I am going to continually question everything that comes my way. It's just my attitude now, my position now is to question everything that comes my way and not just to adopt it and assume it as true, especially these days with the media and, social media and mainline media and,
Mm.
alternative media and independent media, all that kind of thing. We need to be discerning. We need to be questioning everything. And so, yeah, it's never ending. And when I say there's no goal, there should not be a goal. Because if you set a goal, I'm going to deconstruct, but I'm never going to stop believing in God. Jesus is going to be my best friend, and I'm going to constantly be filled with the Holy Spirit, and I'm going to believe the Bible. If that's your goal, then that's where you're going to end up. So if you really do want to excavate your spirituality and your heart and your mind and your thoughts and everything, and really go all the way and and question your conditioning, you can't say this far no further because then you short circuit your spiritual growth. And
Yes.
I see it all the time where people are like, this is where I end. This is where I stop my deconstruction. Some people even get so scared of the deconstruction that they retreat back to an earlier phase in their belief and become even more fundamental than they were before because they don't want to
Mm.
approach that scary deconstruction feeling again of
Yep.
uncertainty.
Yeah. I think even that just like that's where I was going with the point is there's so much more context around what you're saying.
Hmm.
Even you just explained those first two bullets of deconstruction is just always going, right? It's like, but if you someone in that book, just like on an interview, is just like, hey, this is all he believes, and then the listener on the other end is like, oh well, David Hayward, wow, I'm gonna stay away from that guy. But
Yeah.
when I sit down and I talk to you and you explain that, it's like, oh, that actually makes a lot more sense than something that's just pulled out of context. And it goes to show your point of like, you got to question everything. And you got to sit down with people and you have to ask them, what is your story? What is your context? Where do you come from? What's the belief you used to have? How did you evolve to the person you are today? Because it's ever changing, it's ongoing. Because we all have different like messages coming to us from all different types of
Right.
media, personal encounters, stuff at home, stuff at work, everything just coming in and feeding us information. We have to continue to discern for ourselves what do I believe out of this, and what how am I going to evolve as a person? What is my true self? Who am I becoming? Who am I going to be open to becoming? And
Yeah.
again, it's erasing those lines, even from your neighbor next door, erasing that line, but also erasing the lines even within your own heart of who am I going to be? What am I open to? Right?
Yeah. But see, the way you spoke there, for some people is problematic. Like when you say, I
Yeah.
need to find my truth, that is
Hmm.
not allowed in
Yeah.
orthodoxy. You can't find your truth. You need to find the truth. And
Mm.
we'll tell you what the truth is. See, the problem with, I don't know Elisa and I
Hmm.
don't know Tim. I see them online a lot. I have nothing against them. Uh, but I see where they're coming from, and it's from an ecclesiocentric viewpoint. And the church used to be the center of the universe, center of the
Yeah.
earth, but it's not anymore. And they know it, I think, intuitively. They know it that they're losing that, and that their the whole point about orthodoxy is that there's a center that's true, and your deviation away from that is apostasy, falling away. That's apostasy really
Mm.
means. It's
Yeah.
falling away from the center. and we know what the center is. We're going to tell you what it is, and you need to believe that, and you deviate away from that, we're going to call you an apostate, a heretic. That scares us because heretics go to hell.
Hmm.
And so we're going to stay inside the circle that they've drawn for us. That's basically what this book is all about.
Hmm.
Uh, what deconstruction is apostasy. Why it's destructive? It's because it's destroying people's personal orthodoxy, their personal belief and faith, and it's destroying the church. The church is going through massive disruption right now. How to respond is stop it now.
Yeah.
Dam, build the dam, stop the leak, and not in your own personal life. It's okay to question some things, but it's
Hmm.
okay to go look, but like you need to come back, and we need to rescue the church from extinction. So that's basically what this book is about. But it's all ecclesiocentric, right? It's the church is at the center, proclaiming that it has the truth, and we're have to live accordingly.
Hmm.
And anybody who's not is deconstructing and dismissed.
Yeah.
That's that's in a nutshell.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure we can go on and on and on
Yeah,
about it.
yeah, yeah.
But looking through the David Hayward lens, sorry, looking through your lens and zooming out and looking at all this movement, not organized movement, but this movement of people that are continuing to want to deconstruct and they keep questioning their beliefs and they keep moving in whichever direction they find themselves moving.
Right.
What gives you hope at the end of the day, zooming out and looking at the world around you?
Lots of things give me hope. I mean, there's a lot of things that are really, really tragic right now. There's a lot of
Yeah.
tragedy happening in the world. Absolutely. Yes, I do
Yeah.
have hope. I mean, online is tricky because I get a lot of hate. Um,
Mm.
Twitter, especially, or X. It's just X should be made out of bones.
It should.
Death over there, and there's
Yeah.
just so much hatred, and so it's. But I hear a lot of good and positive things from people as well. That people
Mm.
are finding themselves. They feel like they're being heard. They feel like they're seen. They feel validated. They feel encouraged. They feel strengthened. They feel empowered. Like one of the things I say is that you get to decide how to be spiritual. That sounds to me logical, but to many people
Yeah.
that sounds very dangerous and rebellious. But a lot of people hear that and accept it, and they feel very empowered by that. And so I'm seeing a lot of people taking control of their lives, taking the steering wheel of their lives. It's like Nelson Mandela said, you can be the captain of your ship and the master of your destiny. And people are doing that now. And I'm seeing
Mm.
more and more of it. And that's what gives me hope is that we're seeing a lot more people living out their freedom. And because one of the things that I believe in is that when people are given space to be their authentic selves, they become more beautiful. And and that the world will be a better place. I guess I have a, a positive view of people. Even though I spent a lot of time in the Reformed tradition,
Yeah.
where the like total depravity and all that kind of stuff. But I really do believe that when people are given space, that a lot of goodness comes forth. So
Mm.
that's my hope.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
good. And you're right. There's so
that's
much.
on down.
There's so much hate online,
Yeah,
especially even within the own deconstruction like community, you know. And
yeah, I
there
noticed
there
that.
are
Yeah,
lots of accounts I come across, and it's like it's just a meme account, and they just want to hate the church, and they just want to take down the establishment, and give them hellfire and brimstone to whatever extent, whatever that looks like in their eyes. And at the end of the day, I'm like, is that helping anybody?
Yeah.
Because you're just building a bigger, badder wall just made out of fire and spikes and whatever the supervillain is in that movie. And
Right.
it goes back to that cartoon that you drew of like Jesus is erasing these lines. So why are we keep fortifying us who want to deconstruct our faith? Have this instinct to then fortify again because that's
Well,
what we are taught. It's like, oh, we got to defend our beliefs, defend, deep into apologetics. I gotta defend this and prove it over and over again, prove it 10 times over, based on my own belief. And so I find myself in that camp as well, where it's like, sometimes I'm just like, no, I need to love my neighbor because X, Y, and Z, and this is what it means, and this is how you do it. And if you don't believe that, then no, you can go away too. And so I also catch myself on the other side of like, am I loving? And it's just that's the challenge. But it's like you said, at the end of the day, there is so much transformation that is happening within the communities, and there is so much inspiration as well. People are finding who they are, they are continuing to love, and so that truly gives hope. And I definitely resonate with what you're saying.
another story in the Gospels, parable, um, that I really like is when Jesus said, what is the law? Love your neighbor as yourself. And what's
Yeah,
the first question? Well, who is my neighbor?
yeah,
So that shows right off the bat that there's a profound misunderstanding of what love is.
mm,
Love your neighbor in the mind of Jesus, I'm going to presume, whether or not
yeah,
it was historical Jesus. But
right,
what I'm hearing is that love your neighbor. That means love everyone. That's what I hear, because everyone's our neighbor. The first question is, who is my neighbor? That's their attempt to draw lines
mm,
of who's in, who's out, who qualifies
yeah,
as neighbor and who disqualifies as my neighbor. That's the binary world we're living in right now, where love your neighbor. Well, who is my neighbor? I'm going to decide who my neighbor is and who isn't. That's the problem we're facing right now. And
mm,
I really do believe that love is universal and indiscriminate, and the world is trying to uh, decide who is and who isn't lovable, and that's
yeah,
discrimination. And
mm,
it gets ugly. It really does get ugly, and the end is death. And so I want to fight as hard as I can against that just by speaking about love. Just speaking about the truth of love and the power of love.
yeah. And to round out the conversation, you mentioned you started your blog in 2008, I believe that's the year.
No, no, it was
And
earlier than that. It was like 2000.
2005.
Yeah.
Five. Okay, five, yeah. So in 2005 you started this blog, Naked Pastor. If you could go now all these years forward, you've been Naked Pastor. If you can go back to David Hayward before Naked Pastor, before any of this started, before maybe even Naked Pastor was even a thought, if
Uh-huh.
you can go back and tell that David something that you would not have believed in that moment, if you're like, if you had told me that, I would not believe it. What would that be?
Well, it's funny. I just was on a podcast yesterday, and I said to them, like, if somebody came to me in 2005 and said, Naked Pastor is going to be known around the world.
Hmm.
First of all, I was like, who's Naked Pastor? But let's just say I just started Naked Pastor, and
Hmm.
people uh, would know about Naked Pastor all around the world. I mean, millions of people. I would have said, there's no, and that you're going to be making a living from being an artist.
Yeah.
I would not in a million years have believed it.
Hmm.
That I'm the author of 10 books and I'm working on my 11th. I would never have believed it. Never would have believed it. No. Now, I'm married to Lisa. We're going on our 44th year married in May.
Congrats.
Uh, Madly in love. Romance is still alive, man. And we got
Hmm.
3 grown kids, and they're the delight of our life. And, you know, and we've been through a lot. We've been through a lot, a lot of abuse in the church, tons of abuse. Even though I was a pastor through a lot of
Hmm.
that. I experienced a lot of abuse from higher ups, and I know you've got your own story of abuse as well, and it's very
Mm.
traumatizing. I think when it happens inside the church, it's even worse because
Yeah.
it purports to be our protector, right? And it's for me, I experienced that seldom. I
Mm.
experienced a lot of cruelty at the hands of the church and its leadership and ministries and spiritual leaders and all that kind of thing. But to um, be told that I would be happy and still madly in love and married to Lisa and 3 kids and changing the world one little cartoon at a time,
Mm.
I wouldn't have believed it.
Yeah.
But I love my life. I love what I do. And I love all the people I meet, including you, Matt. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How old are you?
29.
Man, you're just a baby.
I am just a baby.
A lot of wisdom. You got a lot of wisdom, man. So I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Really good questions. Yeah.
Thank you. And then lastly, what's one thing you want people to know about you? They come, whether they just come across you with one cartoon from someone resharing, but what's that one thing you would want someone to know about you walking away from even this conversation? And it can be anything.
That I really do believe in love and
Mm.
the
Yeah.
indiscriminate power of love, and that I'm really good at responding to people when they reach out. I really do
Yeah.
personally
Yeah.
answer direct messages, private messages, emails, you name it. I answer personally each and every one. So, because I really believe in that we're connected, we're united, and opening up a line of communication between us is its manifestation of love. So I really believe in it, and that's what I want people to know. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. And I can definitely
Cool.
attest you are very open. You responded to my inquiry, and that was great. We got this set up and we got to have a wonderful conversation. And I got to know you more than just, hey, I'm going to keep resharing what you drew
Totally.
today. But it's been a
Appreciate it.
pleasure. It's been a blessing.
Thank you.
Thank you.